An event this weekend is celebrating the urban landscape of downtown Jacksonville from butterflies to local history. Here to tell us about this Saturday's festival on the Emerald Trail is Gloria McNair, Groundwork Jacksonville's manager of community engagement and equity. Good morning, Gloria.
Good morning.
We're also joined by Sylvia Powell, owner of Success Gardening and a featured speaker at this weekend's festival. Good morning, Sylvia.
Good morning.
So the LaVilla Link of the Trail is sort of recently opened. It is part of this kind of vast network of trails that
Yes, 30
comprise.
miles of trail, yes.
Yes, you're helping to focus efforts in terms of bringing in the community, making sure that there's community participation, awareness, buy-in. Why is that important for the vitality of this project?
It's very important because we're building a trail for the communities going through these 14 urban neighborhoods, and we want them to have a trail that represents them, their history, their culture, their dreams, their desires. And that's why I do the work that I do with community engagement. I believe that.
And this stretch in particular, the LaVilla Link, is really steeped in a lot of city history. And a portion of it has a new mural that reflects a lot of that city history. Can you tell us about the mural project, how that came to be, and what it contains that reflects the city's history?
Well, the mural is gorgeous, thanks to Overstreet Ducasse, and we went through a vetting process to choose him. We brought in neighbors from La Villa and from Brooklyn, and they talked about what was important to them, and they wanted to observe and recognize the past, the present, and the future, and you will see that reflected in the mural, where the pushcart um, folks from the past and is stylized now. The representation of nature, the butterflies, and baseball, and the
Yeah.
red caps. Yes, you'll
Yeah,
see
I
all of
saw
that.
that there's elements of, kind of the jazz history of La Villa, but also, as you say, the baseball history with the Red Caps and the uh just the kind of the natural environment, including a lot
Yes.
of the natural flowers. And Sylvia, that is sort of something that you are going to be talking about at this weekend's event. You are an expert in gardening, and in particular, you're going to be able to tell people about how to create, urban gardens and pollinating gardens that help bring in some pollinators.
Absolutely. Gardening has been a part of my life, of lived experience. I've been gardening for probably over 40 years. And it is very important that we bring in pollinators because pollinators actually boost our crops. And they also seed for to actually for seeds as well. So if we want to have more seeds to fall to the ground of our pollinators, we need the insects to come in and do their business, pollinate. So not just for your local area, but they travel everywhere. They're just not in that specific area. So with the urban garden, it's very important that we have these pollinators.
And so, what draws in, particular, I know that butterflies are a focus of this weekend's event. What is particularly attractive to butterflies?
It is specific types of plants. A lot of native species that we have around Jacksonville. Most people think they're weeds. They don't pay attention to them, but they're actually pollinators. So I know we can actually purchase certain plants at our specific nurseries. They can tell you which one is a more of the native varieties, as well as other varieties as well that are pollinators.
And Gloria, this particular event, it has a bunch of elements to it. Part of it is people speaking, like Sylvia, talking about growing things that help draw pollinators and promote wildlife. You are also going to be talking about a project that you're overseeing, though, that tries to involve the community in water quality testing and monitoring. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, there are two major features of the Emerald Trail that, and they're Hogan's Creek and McCoy's Creek. Kay Haas, our CEO, likes to refer to them as the gems of the trail. So these creeks needed to be restored, and before we could put in trail. And what's very important is the water quality. And so we have a team of residents who were trained as water monitors as a citizen science type project. And with McCoy's Creek, they did the preliminary baseline analysis of the water collected so that we know that creek restoration works. So that 5 years from now, when we go back and do water testing, we will see the improvements in the quality. And we also have a group that's working in Hogan's Creek as well. The program is under the CREST program, Community Restoration Environmental Stewardship Training. It's an initiative that we started with the neighborhood of North Riverside in Brooklyn, oh, about 5, 6 years ago now. It's been ongoing and wonderful.
And we know that both of those creeks in their urban history have had real challenges in terms of pollution and runoff that's, contaminated them. In some cases, there have been contamination from ash sites that were once, created by the city and have had a lot of pollution. Um, how would you gauge where we are now in terms of bringing those waterways back into being something that the community can recreate along and also just enjoy and be proud of?
I'm happy to say that McCoy's Creek, we've been working on it for some time, and phase one of that restoration has been completed. And that is awesome. The creek that had been bulkheaded and which was unnatural has now returned to a meandering flow, and it's beautiful and it's full of wildlife right now. You'll see a lot of pollinators out there as well. So we're well on the way. I'm happy to say phase one is done.
And Sylvia, what is it that you're going to be wanting people to take home from this weekend's event?
Pollinators, planting pollinators. If we're not gardeners, plant pollinators. We always say, some people say that they don't have a green thumb, but let's try. And the youth and getting the youth involved and starting to modify at an early age and let them know how vital it is to actually plant pollinators.
So this stretch of the Emerald Trail, it is going to play host to this, but there's a lot going on there. In addition to Sylvia speaking and the Park Street Bridge mural that you mentioned that Overstreet Ducasse created or helped create. There's also going to be some guided tours. There's going to be some yoga. There's going to be a butterfly release, sort of to celebrate the pollinators.
Oh, yes, I think that should be exciting. Everyone gather at the end and watch this 200 butterflies. I think they are painted ladies. I think they're painted ladies butterflies, and it's going to be gorgeous. Our landscape architect Dylan is babysitting the butterflies to
Right
make
now,
sure,
taking care of
yeah,
them.
taking care of them.
Excellent. All right. Well, the event is called Festival on the Emerald Trail. It's the LaVilla Link and it's part of Celebrate Trails Day, April 26th. I think it starts at 10.
It starts at 10 to 2.
All right.
Please join us.
Well, we're delighted to see you, Sylvia Powell, Gloria McNair. Thank you so much for being here, both of you.
Thank
My
you.
pleasure. Thank you.